All right. Toes to bar. So we've seen this a lot, right? I think this is one of those movements that kind of drives me crazy, especially when I travel and I go to CrossFits and I'm seeing a coach and they're just like 1, 2, counting reps and not really making a difference with the movement where they have that opportunity. It's not about getting the toes to the bar. So you're gonna see this a lot with transplants here. And remember, the goal is to have everybody moving really well. That's like when you could stand back and be like, our gym is awesome because everybody moves really well, right? So the excessive swing is probably one of the first things you'll see. So the athlete swings instead of kips. Check to see that they're standing under the bar and not behind the bar, right? Because if I jump behind the bar, grab it, I'm immediately setting myself up to swing. And it's gonna be very difficult to reclaim the kip in that movement. It's gonna be the opposite, right? So it's gonna take way more energy than it would if we start in the right position, which is under the bar. If they're in a good starting position, they may be leaving their hip inflection for too long or using their legs to drive the movement, right? So you'll see a lot of new people, they'll jump on the bar and immediately they'll kick their legs forward, right? This is hip flexion, right? So if I start the movement here, and if I leave my hip on too long, what happens is the distal end of my body gets heavy and I start to become a pendulum, right? So we want to enforce that. Hey, as soon as you jump on that bar, really drive your chest forward, and that's going to be the anchor for this movement. This is the driver. Okay, cool. So, yep, let's see. One of the things that we can do is have them focus on bringing their legs up and down quickly, right? So again, the way that I look at kipping, kipping pull-up, butterfly pull-ups, all that stuff, is that we want to spiral out, right? So start with a small range of motion and then expand, okay? Can't hit the target, right? So this could be a lot of things. This could be a mobility issue. And again, but what I mean by hit the target is they can't get their actual feet to the bar. So this could be a mobility issue, a strength issue, a motor learning issue, or a combination of all the above. If an athlete can't hold hip flexion, that's this, at 90 degrees for 5 to 10 seconds, they may not have the strength in their hip flexors to actually do the movement, right? If they can't complete a standing straight leg toe touch, then they may not have the mobility. You gotta kind of have flexible hamstrings to get to the target, right? And if they have the strength and mobility and are moving well, instruct them to keep their feet together. This is what they call a closed unit in gymnastics, which is going to make it easier to flex and extend under load, which means on the other end of efficiency, we get what? More torque, more strength, more power, right? So I'm a taller guy. Gymnastics isn't, naturally easy for me, for my shorter counterparts. But if I do get those feet together, then I can actually become a little bit more efficient. All right. Yep, this will allow for more efficient global positions as well as stronger range of motion. Okay. Last one, can't string multiple reps, right? You'll see an athlete get up there, boom, they hit one, boom, they hit two, and you're like, yeah, looking good, and then, oh, it just dies, right? They can get a few. What we want to do is we want to figure out where's the break in the chain. Generally, what you're going to see is the athlete may understand the movement and get a handful of reps, but then it loses it and swings. This is generally a timing issue. I see this a lot with kipping pull-ups as well. Anything really with the bar in terms of gymnastics. So what I tell them is that you must be in an I formation under the bar before you start pulling down into the front lever. As a reminder, anytime we have straight legs and we're pulling down on the bar, in gymnastics, we call that a front lever, right? So toes to bar, knees to elbow, all that stuff. This is a front lever. So we have to kind of kip, get that stretch forward, wait till we're in that I position to then pull down on the bar. What can happen is they'll pull down too early, right? And if that happens, they start to just generally start to swing a little bit out of control, and then it's the opposite. They kip and start over again. So generally tell athletes, wait a little bit longer and be patient, and then go. And then as soon as you tell them that, they'll start to kind of figure out the timing. All right. Any questions about toes to bar? Anything that you do not feel like you have the correct drills to fix errors that you've been seeing?
Athletes who can only get, you and I saw this last week, athletes who can generally get one or two.
Sure.
And they're trying to string them together, but for some reason, just like in a kipping pull-up, they seem to relax.
Sure.
Rather than staying engaged and pushing through the lats. Once they come down from the first toes to bar, it's like,
right.
You know, is that where exactly where is it most common that they're actually loosening and losing their tightness? Is it core? Is it in their lats? Or is it they're not pushing away fast enough?
So they can string a few together, but then it looks like they fatigue out.
Can do.
Oh, they can do one.
And then it loses it, and then they can do another kipping one, and then they lose it.
If it's not one of the timing issues, it may just be a capacity issue, right? So this is another one of those times where I like to stack drills. So that's actually how I like to teach the progression as well for people is like, okay, cool, so we got the knees to elbow, is essentially the same thing. What I want you to do is start to string knees to elbows together. So it's gonna be 2 to 1. So 2 plus 1, 2 knees to elbow to 1 toes to bar, right? So I'll tell an athlete, when you see toes to bar in class, that's what I want you doing. You have that athlete do that for like a week, 2 weeks, what's happening is in that complex, that 2 plus 1, they're building a capacity to do that. And then all of a sudden you go, you know what, let me see toes to bar. And they're able to string them together because they've built that consistency of moving well, and now their capacity is expanded.
And that's knees to chest when you're pushing, locking the posterior chain and kind of springing you back up to your knees right back up. You're pushing down on the knees elbow where you're hanging, pushing and pulling and pushing and pulling. And then you can generally translate that to push, pull, and then kick, push, pull, and then
exactly,
kick.
right. So we're getting to that position, and really if we're doing close, it's just a simple extension of the knees and then casting out of the legs, right? So yeah, that's what I'll tell an athlete is like, all right, well, you know what? You can get 1, so we know it's possible, so let's do this, 2 plus 1, right? And then even from there, you could go 1 plus 1. You could do 1 knees to elbow plus 1, like that. All right. Do you have any questions? No? She's gymnastic, so she doesn't have any questions about that stuff. Addressing free trial athletes. So these are people who are new and they're trying CrossFit for their first time. So we want to set a good impression, right? And there's we've all heard that saying, you only have one chance to make a first impression, right? So really, really important. The obvious, I'm going to go over the obvious, but remember, smile, you know, hey, is this your first time? Have you done CrossFit before? Orient them with the gym. Like, this is where we put all our stuff down. This is where you can get water. This is where the bathroom is. You know, hey, have you signed liability? Okay, let's rock and roll. In terms of integrating them into the strength and skill piece, what we want to do is we want to make sure that, well, number one, safety is our primary concern. These are just reminders that you guys already know, but I'm going to go over them. And then number two, it's our primary goal that they have fun, right? So sometimes I'll see new members at gyms that I'm traveling to, and the coach is like trying to really drill performance points with this new person, and I'm like, they don't really care. Most likely they're just freaked out by their environment, and all we really should do, yes, we do want to give them focus points, but really the primary goal is to make sure that they're having fun. So smile with them, joke around with them, give them some simple stuff to focus on, and that's as simple as it should be made. So we also, what's very important that we want to do is, and I want us to start really focusing on this, is set the expectation for them. So before I even go through the strength piece, I'll walk right up to them and I'll tell them this is what's about to happen, okay? So I'll explain what's going to happen by saying, listen, we're going to break out, we're going to do some drills. I want you to grab this bar over here, and I want you to do the best that you can in these drills, okay? It might be a little foreign or weird for you, but don't worry, after we're done drilling, I'm going to come over here and give you something specific to work on. All right. So from there, you have them drill with class, and yes, it may not look great as long as they're safe. Give them a practice bar, give them a PVC pipe if that's the case. That's fine. Okay. If they're safe and they're smiling, you're hitting your targets. Right? They don't have to look perfect, and in fact, they're not going to. After that, once you go to the breakout, go right up to them. Okay, this is what I'm going to give you, and you use position, speed, load, and that three-step template to give them something like they cannot mess up, right? Give them a few drills to hit, sweet. Add a little bit of weight to that, you're good, and that's it, right? And then again, what we're talking about is the more advanced movements. So with it, whether it be, you know, handstand push-ups or gymnastics or weightlifting, give them something extremely simple to focus on. You know, make sure that everything looks good, and then address the rest of the class, periodically checking in on them to make sure that they're all good. Okay? Module 3, we're breaking this kind of into two pieces, the skill and drill portion and working with them on the floor. We're going to have some other stuff for you guys in Module 4. Before I let you guys split, do you guys have any questions about this stuff? Pretty straightforward? Whenever I don't get questions, two things happen. I get a little worried, and then I think to myself, oh, maybe that was really good, and just...
I asked my questions throughout.
All right, awesome. All right, guys.
Questions always come after.
Cool. Sweet. Thank you very much.